Ajabot. I'm a dedicated Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Link streamer, as you can see here on the right. And we have reached now DIV Max in KC Cup Stage 1, and I've been mostly experimenting with the Barry Dragon deck around, which I wanted to show you right now because I finally got the skill Master of Destiny, which is really mandatory and important for this deck to play. And I have already introduced you to a different variation of the deck when you don't have that skill Master of Destiny, so you can still play it in hybrid with Neos and Cyberdark. But now I'm going to show you the pure Desperado Barrel Dragon deck, which is super powerful and still tier 1 after, I don't know, 2 seasons now. So let's see. So this is the deck, as you can see here. Mandatory for this deck is of course the Desperado Barrel Dragon. I will explain it again. So Desperado Barrel Dragon is a dark machine monster which will be special summoned to the field if a dark machine monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect. So which means if you have a deck full of machine monsters like with Twin Barrel Dragon, with the Blast Spider, and for example also the Genex Allied Crusher, which is the recent tilt which was added to this deck. Thanks Von Sun for this great idea. And the Desperado Barrel Dragon deck, when it's summoned to the field, the effect can be activated immediately because you are usually in the battle phase when that happens. And during each battle phase, so on your turn or the turn of your opponent, the Barrel Dragon is able to toss 3 coins at a time, and each coin which lands on head grants you a distraction of a face-up monster on the field. That is super busted, especially with the skill of Master of Destiny, which basically grants you like 3 coin tosses on head. So as you can see here, when you toss a coin, the result will always be heads for the first 3 coin tosses. So at the beginning of your duel, you will have like 3 coin tosses free, which will always land on head and which will be very helpful for your deck. The skill will only activate if you begin the duel with a deck that has 5 or more cards with different names than require coin tosses. So this is always like, yeah, this is always the case in your deck because you have so many different cards. So Desperado Barrel Dragon deck, the core of this deck, you need to have 3 copies. You can also play with 2, but I definitely recommend 3 because mostly the people just keep on destroying the Desperado, or your opponent will try to keep on destroying the Desperado Barrel Dragon because they know you have only 3 copies of it, and when all of them gone, your deck is dead. And the Twin Barrel Dragon is also a nice level 4 machine monster which can be added to the deck, and if you can summon this guy at the beginning of your duel, you will always have like 2 coin tosses free. And the Twin Barrel Dragon will also give you the chance to not only destroy a monster but any card on the opponent's side, which could be also a back row card or a face down card. So it only doesn't target like face up, it targets everything on your opponent's side. Now to the Arcana Force Temperance. Temperance is also, I think, a very important card for this deck because it basically gives you a free shot. It's basically like a Kuribo replacement, but works better within this deck because it works better with the skill of Arcana. So when you can also not keep this card only in hand to be dropped like a Kuribo instead of taking battle damage, but you can also tribute summon this card, and in that case you can again toss a coin. If it's heads, half all battle damage you take. If it's tail, half all battle damage your opponent takes. And you know, with the Master of Destiny, if you can tribute summon this in the beginning, it's always a granted head. Mindless. Easy. Alright, then to the Blast Spider. Blast Spider is really helpful and has several effects, and some people mostly forget about his second effect, which is Burn, and not only the self-destruction. So when Blast Spider is face up on the field, you can press it to activate its effect, which will destroy a machine monster on the field. Yeah. So you can target 1 dark machine monster you control and 1 face up card your opponent controls. Remember, it's face up, not face down. Destroy them. If a monster you control that was originally a dark machine monster, destroy opponent's monster by battle or card effect, which is meaning also like by the distraction effect, and sends to its graveyard. You can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half of the original attack of one of those monsters destroyed. Please do not forget, for this effect to apply, the Blast Spider has to be on the field. So if you destroy the Blast Spider itself, the spider is not anymore on the field, so there will be no burn damage. But if the Blast Spider, for example, destroys a Twin Battle Dragon or a Genex Ally Crusher and a face-up monster of your enemy, then you'll get burn effect. Most people forget about that. Yeah, and of course, after the destruction of the Blast Spider, if you have the Desperado Barrier Dragon already on hand, it will be special summoned to the field. And then you have an endless chain of wombo combos ongoing here. Never forget, and last but not least, the Time Wizard. Time Wizard doesn't really fit into this deck because it's a spellcaster and it's a light monster. But what Time Wizard does is incredibly important because Time Wizard tosses a coin once, and if you call it right, head or tails, it will destroy all monsters on the side of your enemy's field. If you call it wrong, of course it will destroy all monsters on your side. So this is pretty tricky if you don't know what the outcome of your coin toss will be. But since you have the skill Master of Destiny, it's super easy. So the first 3 times you use a coin, you know, okay, I summon Time Wizard, it will definitely be heads. So you call heads, and it will just destroy everything on the side on your opponent's side. Yeah. And the recent spice we added to this deck is the Genex Crusher. I don't run 2 copies of it because I realized that to have the chance to have the Genex Crusher apply its effect, it's pretty random and also very rare. That's why I only run 1 copy of it. You could run 2, like for example in the deck with the dekoichi. I've seen many decks with 2 dekoichis or 2 Ally Crushers. So for me, the 1 Crusher works well. So once per turn, when a monster with the same attributes as this card is normal summoned to your side of the field, so Machine and Dark, which could be a Spider or a Twin Battle Dragon. Once per turn, when a monster with the same attribute as the card is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can select 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. That works pretty well with the Legacy Clash. For example, you can save the Genex ally with the Legacy Clash, stop your enemy from attacking because your enemy already lost the attack points due to the effect of Legacy Clash. You bring back the Genex Crusher with the Legacy Clash to the field. Then in the next turn you summon, for example, a Blast Spider or a Twin Barrel Dragon, and then the effect of the Genex Ally Crusher will apply. So it's not that easy to have all those conditions fulfilled, but it sometimes happens, and in that case it's really helpful to destroy, for example, not only a monster but also a back row card of your enemy. And that is why I actually only run 1 Genex Ally Crusher and 2 Legacy Clashes, because Legacy Clashes helps to save any one of the other monsters too, and not only the Genex Ally Crusher. For Genex Ally Crusher's effect to apply, I would say the conditions are maybe too hard to get fulfilled every time. So mostly the monster is just going to get destroyed and you never get the chance to summon a second monster beside this one. Of course, once in attack position, it has only 1 town attack, can be destroyed easily. If in defense position, 2 town, you would think it's high, but actually it's not. If you have played the ladder right now, with all the high attack monsters out there, you would know that 2 town defense is not that much anymore. Now to the spell and trap cards in this deck. We have the Cosmic Cyclone. This is really helpful to get rid of any annoyance back row cards your enemy has, and the best thing is the card is banished and not just destroyed, so your enemy cannot like do some kind of shenanigans with the card in the graveyard anymore because it's banned. And the Will Legacy Clash has proved very strong right now in the meta because you can save your monster and stop your enemy from attack and reduce its attack points of the monsters of your enemy. So banish 1 face-up monster you control, for example, I don't know, your Barrel Dragon or Twin Barrel Dragon, then until the end of phase, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses attack and death equal to the original attack death of that banished monster. So it depends if the monster of your enemy is in attack or defense position, it will lose accordingly attack or death points, which is pretty strong. Which now to the 2 Cap of Aces in this deck. This is also mandatory for the deck of Desperado Dragon with the Master of Destiny skill because this is your milling machine. You can only run 2 copies of it. It would be possible I would run 3 of it. So every time you draw a Cup of Ace in the beginning of the duel, you know that you will toss a coin and you will land on heads and you will draw 2 cards. And if you have like 2 cup of aces in the beginning, you just go like +4 for no reason. Yeah. And the recent card I've added is Drowning Mirror Force because a lot of people are playing Dark Lords right now on the ladder or some kind of other decks which are actually vulnerable more to back row than to effect monsters, and Drowning is really helpful as well as is Canadia. Some people run more Drownings instead of Canadia, some people run Floodgate Trap Hole instead of Canadia, so you can find the right mixture for yourself here. So I think this is the main point about the whole deck of the Desperado Dragon with the Master of Destiny skill. If you have any other questions, just post below in the comments if you're confused about some of the effects, because I know that people say that a coin flip deck is not a big brain deck, but if you play it on the ladder right now or in the KC Cup, you will see that there are many tricks which can be used in combination with Desperado, with Twin Barrel Dragon, with Clash, World Legacy Clash, and all the other cards just together. And sometimes it takes a little bit more thinking than most people in the beginning realize. I know compared to the other decks out there, like, I don't know, Wanderers, or for example Dark Lords, or Fortune Ladies, or what do we have out there, or Christians, it's easy to use. It's easy to use, it's easy to memorize, but not all the effects will get into your head from the beginning, so you have to experiment a little bit around and then you will find the best mix for yourself. So for example, with the Genex Crusher, you don't have to run the Genex Crusher, you could also run the Dekoichi, which was winner deck in the YCS this year, or in the WCS this year. So you can replace the Genex Crusher, for example, with 2 Dekoichis and take out, for example, 1 Drowning. And this is also a dark machine monster. It's mostly pushed into face down, and when your opponent attacks into it, it gets flipped face up, and then you get to draw 1 card, which is also helpful to mill out your deck and to get the Barrel Dragon on hand, which you want on your hand, because anytime the Desperado Barrel Dragon is a card in your hand and another machine monster on the field gets destroyed, or what they say, dark machine monster gets destroyed, you can special summon the Desperado Barrel Dragon to the field, and that's the main effect behind, or the main magic behind this deck. I would put it back now to my Genex Crusher and my 1 Drowning, which has been working out for me. Just remember, you can make your own mix out of this deck and find out which works for your best. Maybe you can run Kuribo too. So I think that's it for Master of Destiny Desperado Barrel Dragon deck. This is what got me to KC Cup Stage 1 DLV Max, so DL20. And I will see how it would do in KC Cup Level 2, but I will be mostly experimenting around with a lot of different decks, just like last time. So, thank you and see ya, bye bye!